Welcome to your Farm and Home Show. My name is Joanna Coles, and this morning we're visiting with Jason Phillips. He's a Simpson County Extension Agent for Agriculture and Natural Resources. Jason, you're going to talk a little bit today about food plots.
I am. Yeah, we get a lot of questions about food plots. Timing is critical. So first off, I think you need to identify where that you're going to plant this food plot. You need to identify what your target species that you want to attract are, so you can start looking at some different forages that might be best to plant, and then look at the optimum planting time for those forages. We definitely want to start with a soil test.
So that we know that we have the nutrients there to raise whatever forage that you need.
Yes, so we need that. That's critical because, you know, obviously a lot of times these are backwoods places or somewhat shady places. That's another thing to think about. How open is it? How large is it? If it's a small plot, you know, then we probably want something that's going to produce a lot of tonnage, because you're going to have a lot of grazing pressure on that. Whereas if it's a larger plot, then it might open up the possibility of some different forages. If you plant some things that can't withstand a lot of grazing pressure and you got a high deer density, then your plot's probably going to fail for the only reason being that it's just been overgrazed. Another limiting factor that we see is that they don't have a lot of access to equipment. So I think that we need to look and see what equipment that we have available in determining what we can do most effectively. Maybe it's not feasible. If we're borrowing equipment, we may not want to do an annual plot, because that means we're going to have to plant it every single year. We may want to look and steer more towards those perennials, so that we can try to get 3, 4, 5 years even out of those perennial plots. It's hard to go wrong with clover when we're thinking about turkey and deer. That's a good multi-species plot, and it's a perennial plot. I probably see more people planting clover. Ladina clovers or white clovers are good. Red clover, although overlooked, can also be good, and they kind of complement one another as to when they grow. Also, while crimson clover is considered an annual clover, it's really good at reseeding itself. So if your plot, it's very attractive. I love crimson clover.
It's pretty, yeah.
Yeah, it's nice, and in the first year, I'm always going to have crimson clover. So even if it never makes a seed because it's being grazed before it can do that, it's still really attractive in the first year. So if I'm going to recommend a plot to anybody, we're going to have those perennial clovers in there, but I'm always going to put crimson clover in with it. You can plant clover in the spring, and I think a little bit this gets back to your equipment and your availability of equipment. As a whole, we see a lot more success with late summer, early fall plantings. We're talking about August, early September with our clovers. Now would be a good time to start thinking about and planting a warm season plot, because I do try to talk to folks about an integrated approach. So we're talking about bedding, we're talking about cover, then do we have food available year round? Do we have warm season plots? Do we have cool season plots? So if you've got the space and the ability to do so, now would be a time that I would encourage people to think about your warm season plots, corn, soybeans. You're talking about maybe sunflowers with iron clay cowpeas. Those are a good companion crop, because those peas vine up the sunflowers. They can also do that with corn or anything that they can vine up. So there's some things to think about in terms of what you can plant for warm season. Also, on a lot of my plots that are perennial plots, in May I'm planting screens. This makes deer feel a lot more secure. And so what I mean by screens is like warm season grass, miscanthus, we're talking about switchgrass, we're talking about sorghum sudan grass. And we can plant those in May, the latter part of May. And what that's going to do, it's going to grow up really tall, and it's going to provide some security for those deer as they're out feeding in your plot.
It does sound like you need to have some planning, especially if you're going to have something for them all season long.
Certainly, yeah. It takes a lot of planning, a lot of forethought, but of course you can contact the local cooperative extension service in your county, and they can help you to figure out how you want to best approach it.
All right. Well, thanks for the information, Jason. We appreciate you watching the Farm and Home Show, and we'll see you next time.